taking me into the depths and the bowels of the venue.
See, this is kind of noisy though, because you got
Right, yeah, it's true.
We got the creepy stairwell.
Yeah, let's go in here. Yo, Roadie Shorts people. I'm back and I'm in the bowels of this venue at Buffalo. What's the name of this venue?
Town Ballroom.
Town Ballroom.
You're in the haunted bowels.
Oh, we might hear ghosts.
Oh yeah, we could. If all of a sudden the lights go out, if there's little spots on the video, it's the ghost.
Alright, that's great.
It's the ghost. I could try to shut that door.
Oh my god.
Can we try to shut the door?
Yeah, that's good. We must be the ghost. The ghosts start with us already, making noises, the generators and whatever else is going on over there. Oh, that's way better. Wow. Yeah, that's a big, thick door. So as everyone knows, I've been doing Roadie Shorts for over a year now, and I got here to Buffalo this morning, rolled in, and ran into this young woman here. And she's a touring woman, but she works at this venue. What did you hear at this venue?
So at the venue, I'm the artist relations director,
Okay.
and then I do some merch stuff and bartend and kind of whatever else they need me to do.
Right, and you know,
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, sometimes there's people at different venues that also tour.
Yes.
And you happen to have that conversation with me earlier, and she had some really good stories. So I wanted to invite Kat to be part of the Women in Touring series that I'm doing. So welcome.
Thank you.
I ask everybody pretty much the same questions, but because of this series, the episodes are a little longer because I like to get in depth of what it's like to be a woman on the road.
Okay.
But I'm going to start way back, like when you started this whole experience. Like how did you even get into music? How did you even know you wanted to work with music? Did you play an instrument?
Yeah. No. Oh, I'm a singer.
Okay.
So, I actually got into the music industry by working in radio.
Okay.
So I started around 1995 as a radio intern and did that for a few years, which turned into an actual radio job.
Okay.
So I worked in like radio promotions and I did some like specialty program.
Great.
I started in overnights, which is not a thing anymore because everything's automated.
Right.
And then I had, sort of the tides were turning and I saw radio going automated and I bounced out of it for a while and went into like retail and hospitality and did a bunch of other stuff. Moved to Buffalo in 2011, loved it here, and then I got kind of embroiled in the jam band scene and found some bands that needed help with various things and snaked my way in.
Cool.
And a few years of doing that, I had the opportunity to start touring, doing merch for a band here out of Buffalo called Aqueous.
What year did that start for you?
That started in 2018.
Okay.
And having been in bands, I did like my own touring and that before, but never at the level to which I've been doing it since 2018 and was really getting going. And then the pandemic happened and kind of took a couple of years off, but that for a couple of years allowed me to sort of reinvent what I was doing and really get more into the merch side of things, which I love. And
so you've just been focusing mainly on that as far as
for the most part,
the merch part of it, but you do production and things like that too?
A little bit. A little bit. So when I tour, I do both merch management. I also do tour management. And then I do like tour assistant or production assistant.
Is there something else, another role that since you've been on the road and seen other roles, another role you'd like to learn to try to jump into?
I think I would really love to do more of a production coordinator, production assistant, tour assistant kind of role at a higher level. Just because I think I could do it. But
Okay. Since you started touring, what's been your favorite thing about being on the road? Do you have a favorite thing?
Yeah. So I love to travel. And I was fortunate, at some level you get to a point where you really can't go and explore. On the last tour I did with this band called Dopapod, I was really able to like go and explore the area. So when we traveled West Coast and did Montana and a lot of the Colorado towns, really able to go out during the day or on days off and explore it. So I love to travel. I also love food. So actually food is my favorite and least favorite part of touring because I love to eat and try new food and try try new cuisine, but then I come home
Yeah.
and I'm like 5 to 10 pounds heavier than I was when I left tour, which I never understand because I feel like I'm never eating on tour, but yet I gain weight.
That was my next question. What was the least favorite part?
Yeah,
so,
So,
there you
yeah.
go. So we talked earlier, this is one of the other reasons I wanted to get her on here, is we started talking about women in touring, and she had a lot of opinions and experiences that she went through while being on tour. I'd like to hear your take on, being a woman on touring, the experiences you've had that, might be negative or positive.
So I mean, I think one thing that I will say though, that over time, that is hopeful for me, that I've really seen start to change, and I think this is kind of like a little bit of a changing of a guard as you're getting like younger crews coming in and younger house crews, is there really has been a very nice change in the acceptance of the sort of like gender pronoun fluidity that we're existing in now. And I've noticed that a little bit more, which I think is really great and healthy. But I think it also depends on where you are in the country, and this was kind of something we talked about.
Exactly.
Like I find touring, and I'm a Southern girl, like Southern, born and raised, Virginia, North Carolina, Florida. I find that when we go to the South, I really struggle. Those tours are really challenging for me, just because of like what I like to consider sort of like both like blatant misogyny, but then also what I like to like call accidental misogyny.
Yeah, they don't exactly know what they're doing.
Yeah, and so like an example, I'll give you sort of like the two examples that happened to me. That is sort of blatant and then sort of accidental. Was on a tour. I was the tour assistant and production assistant. So my job before I did merch was to build all the mics out for most. I was building all the mics out. So I would come in, grab the mic stands, pop them open, put all the mics on, and then go about my business. So I'm probably into 3 mic stands, and one of the stagehands from the house crew approaches me and says, and I quote, "Oh, sweetheart, don't worry about that. Let the guys do that. You can go do your merch girl stuff." And it was actually this kind of great moment because a couple of the guys on our crew saw it, and they took a visible step back, and then one of the guys just sort of nodded at me, and he was like kind of like, "Go for it, like say your piece." And I have resting bitch voice as it is, so I was kind, but it never sounds kind. But that's like super infuriating, especially for somebody that's a house crew member, to sort of just like assume that they know what someone's role is on tour. That was it was a little infuriating. And then, I kind of turned around literally the next show, like the next day. And again, this is sort of an example to me of like, accidental misogyny. Is I totally understand, and I'm so respectful of the way some men are raised, especially in the South, is to, always extend a hand to a woman, help with the groceries, but I think there comes a point where when you're on a touring crew, like I'm not somebody's grandmother, not yet anyway, but in that, like I'm walking up the ramp with a Pelican case in one hand and maybe a 15-pound keyboard in the other. Like I lift more in the gym, and this guy comes out from around the corner and immediately like runs to me, like he's running to my aid. He's like, "Oh my God, let me grab one of those for you." Meanwhile, there's 2 guys behind me struggling to push like a 500-pound organ up the ramp, and he deems it that I need, I'm the one that needs assistance versus the 2 guys who really need it behind me. And so that's also, that's frustrating from a standpoint because like. I think that a lot of us women on the road already suffer a little bit from like superwoman complex where we want to do everything. But I really try to strike a balance where if I need help, I'll ask for it.
That's good.
And so I think that's one of the things that like if there are any like crew guys out there watching, like most of us, I'd like to think, like most women, and I think most crew members, like if you need help, I think we're going to ask for it.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can't tell you the number of times where, somebody is like pushing something and they'll be like, "Hey, can I get a set of hands?" And I think that same kind of respect and courtesy needs to be extended the other way. Like let the women ask you for help versus assuming that they need help because there is. Like I said, it's accidental misogyny. It's not intended, and I know that their heart's in the right place, but man, it's so infuriating. It's so infuriating.
Do you think that it brings a whole different dynamic to a tour, having more women on tour?
For sure.
Yeah.
And I also find a lot of times with the bands that I tour manage, they often mention, or even when I was just on the road with, certain bands as kind of like merch or tour assistant, there's sort of a tour mom quality that you can kind of bring to the road that I think, helps, because like, not that men aren't caregivers or they care, but I think like as a woman, and especially you treat it a little differently, like for me and my artists, when I tour manage, I do mom them a little bit, because I want them to feel comfortable. I want them to feel at ease, because that ultimately for me makes the whole experience for everybody else. I feel the same way when it comes to hospitality in the venue. I want all the artists and the crews to have everything they need, so they feel at home, so that the show they put on is an amazing one, so the fans feel that. Like, it's all cyclical.
All the jobs that you've had, do you think which one's most difficult for you out of all the jobs you've had?
That is a great question. And I don't even know if this is my most difficult job. It's the most difficult part of my job.
Okay.
So here at this venue, it's not as bad at Art Park, but here at this venue, I have to settle merch cuts.
Oh, okay.
My challenge with that is I feel as if a lot of the reporting that has been done on this topic is very one-sided, and no one's talking about contracts and negotiations and how, for example, with merch cuts, bands don't want to talk about how, especially smaller bands jumping on some tours, they don't want to talk about the fact that they get a higher guarantee because of the merch cuts. Right. And there's a lot of that where, like, those cuts exist for a reason. And also too, like, you can't, where can you go and set up a business for a day and not pay somebody rent? Right. But what's a struggle for me, and I find that we have 4 people in the building who sell merch, and 3 of them do that when I'm not here. And my female counterpart and I get more attitude, more grief, more pushback than our male counterparts do. And almost exclusively, I never hear anything from my male counterpart saying that a band is disrespectful or mean or nasty about it. But, the number of artists who have literally walked out, like tried to leave and not pay their merch cut. And so any artists out there that are, I get it, nobody likes it, but when you do that, you are potentially putting somebody else's job and somebody else's livelihood in jeopardy. Because you don't agree to something that your management and your booking agent have agreed to. So if those conversations need to happen, the appropriate place for them to happen and those negotiations to happen is before they walk in the building, not at the moment that you're, that we're all here trying to do the job for the day. So that's my least favorite part of my job.
If you were going to give one piece of advice to someone that wanted to do something like the job that you do, or the jobs that anybody do on tour, what would it be? You probably get asked, right? I
do. I get that question a lot. And and it's funny because somebody will always like look at me and be like, well, how do I get your job? And I'm like, well, you got to spend at least, if you want my job, in my opinion, it's taken me 7 years to get here. First of all, you've got to have 7 years. I think there's a lot of people who come into it and they see, what someone does and they think, oh, well, I'm going to do that in a year. If you really want to get in this industry, it is a lot about your connections, about your work ethic, who you know. Start small. Find a band that you like. Find maybe a venue where you can sort of get your foot in the door. You have to start from the bottom and work up.
Absolutely.
And that's the biggest thing, and sort of have a year plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, and don't put the cart before the horse. Don't rush it, because I think about that now, in that when I think about even since like 2021, like when COVID came back. And I think about how much I've learned in merch alone. I couldn't do, I just came off of a tour that I couldn't, if I had gotten that opportunity 6 years ago, I would have figured it out, but I would not have been ready for it. I was, you're ready when you're ready, so don't rush it. I think that's the biggest advice I'd give anybody in the industry. Grow as a person, grow in a timely fashion, don't rush it.
There you go. There you go. I appreciate you taking the time. I have one more question for you. So
Sure.
aside from all this music business,
Okay.
just when you're home, what's your favorite thing to do?
So this summer I really got into playing disc golf.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, which I know I maybe don't look like the kind of
No,
girl that
that's
plays disc
cool.
golf. Love it. I'm so bummed the weather is crappy right now because I
Yeah.
really wish I could play.
They don't have indoor disc golf yet?
No, but I keep thinking, I'm like, how can I make this happen? And I like to write. I'm a writer, so I like to do like creative, like writing poetry, short stories, creative writing.
And you have a website?
I do. So I do have
Which
a
I'll
website.
link it, I can link it, right?
Yeah, so my Instagram is I love what I do on my Instagram. I'm sort of like my I don't know if I want to call it my thing, but
Yeah.
I've been doing green room selfies
Okay.
in every venue
Alright.
I've been in since
Cool.
2018.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's sort of like my pre-show ritual.
I'll link that too. You can check it out. on
Yeah,
Instagram.
and then I do have a website. It's just
Yeah.
thecathorton.com,
Okay.
and I normally do a tour blog, but I
Yeah.
kind of stopped doing it
Yeah.
last spring, and
It's
I need to get back up
time-consuming,
on
for
it.
sure.
It is. Yeah, you have all these great grandiose intentions about what you're gonna do,
Oh, yeah.
and then
Yeah, well, I'll link
Life
all that
takes
stuff
over.
you guys to check out. Check out Kat and her endeavors and all that. And I really appreciate taking the
yeah,
time.
thank you for having me. This is great.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
good to meet you too.
Yeah, you as
Thanks for
well.
watching, Roadie Shorts people. See y'all on the next one. Bye. Well, I don't usually film like this. I'm usually holding the camera like this.
You know what's gonna be great is if the whole time we're talking, like my head's cut off. That would be amazing.
Right.
No, I think that should be the vibe.
That's actually kind of cool. That should be the vibe.